You're listening to a Soul One podcast.
Fan questions time, Taylor. Your favorite episode, kick back and relax. Let the fans dictate where we go.
You know, I have an ego problem. And it's like, oh, someone wants my opinion? Yeah. Okay, I'll give it to them.
We're getting near the end of catching up. Like this is kind of the last, I think, group that we're sort of catching up on. Not that we don't get them regularly, which we do, but we'll be kind of caught up, which is nice. We don't have too many people waiting in the wings. But again, if I missed a fan question, feel free to forward that to us, and we'll re-go
and write in new ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I love sharing my opinion. That's why I've been podcasting for 7+ years.
So many times that our platform that we use for actually recording this remotely has told me that I need unique naming conventions because I just usually put the date, and we've done this enough that we've recorded on almost every day that exists. So now I have to put the year as well. So it's
funny.
You do this a very long time.
It's not enough that I let people know my opinions about specific movies every week. I need you guys to write in questions for me to now share opinions on things unconnected to the movie of the week. But no, I'm kidding. I just love, I don't know. I love the engagement from our audience, Mike. And they ask questions that I would never think of.
Yeah. And our audience has also started to tell me where they're from, which you don't have to do that.
Oh, interesting.
but I think there's a convention, certainly in radio. It was Taylor from Kingston says this, right? Like that's so people have been doing that, which is fine. We can read that out. It doesn't matter.
I am curious. Is it mostly Ottawa people? That's I guess what I'm interested in.
No, the questions I think I sent you 4, but we have we probably have 5 or 6 that we'll get to today. Okay. And they're actually all from 6 different places.
Ooh.
Canadian. I mean, I know we've had some American before, but they're all Canadian places, cities, from what I can tell here. Yeah. So, from all over. But the first one is from Sarah from Ottawa, who asks, what's a movie you've recommended to everyone only to find out years later that it actually isn't very good? I thought of this question when I was thinking about that meme of what happens to people who I've given directions to. Did they ever make it to their destination? Because I've often caught myself giving directions to people and actually not really knowing if that's even correct. And that's from Sarah. So that's a random question to think of during that. I have had that experience, though, Taylor, where I've given someone directions and thought later, no, I don't think that was very helpful, me giving that direction. So
it's very rare. People will be like, normally if someone's asking me directions, it's literally like down the street, like I'll be, downtown Kingston. Oh, it's the 4th store. You know what I mean? And then if I've messed up, they just like can walk 2 more stores. I don't think I've ever had an experience of having to be like, turn left at the because those people 100% would still be lost to this day. This is a great question. I think this has been brought up before on the show, and I literally was talking to Father Quirk about this like a week and a half ago. I have shared the story, so forgive me for sharing it again. Mike, Nicole and I grew up watching Stigmata. Love Stigmata. Mm-hmm. I think it's a good movie. In grad school, this would be probably 10 years ago now, showed it to 2 girlfriends, not ironically, just being like, let's watch a movie. Okay, we'll watch one of my favorite movies, Stigmata. So then they finish it and they're like, that movie was so funny, Taylor. What a B movie. What a cult classic. Like, you must like this ironically, right? And I'm like, no. So apparently Stigmata is not very good, Mike. Who knew? I didn't know when I was suggesting that to people. So you really do have to be careful, because what's one person's rose is another person's, I don't know, an analogy I'm trying to say, but essentially what one person likes, another person will hate.
Now, do you agree with, like, looking back at the movie as Stigmata, like, do you agree with them?
I think the movie is earnest in its delivery, and some people would find that cheesy.
Right.
I don't find the movie cheesy.
So you could see where they're coming from, kind of
yes.
thing? Yeah.
I think, like, in hindsight, like, it is, like, pretty the script gets pretty nutty pretty fast. And I think if you're just we've talked about this before. I don't care when things are cheesy per se. And, like, people will be like, oh, that movie's, like, really corny, it's bad. I don't think because something's corny or cheesy or, like, earnest that it's necessarily a bad movie. And maybe my, like, barometer for cheese is, like, I can, like, take more cheese than the average person.
Right.
Because, like, I think the movie is really fun. I think it's well acted. I think the chemistry between Patricia Arquette and Gabriel, I think it's Gabriel Bryan, I think they have their chemistry is off the charts. It's like, it's got, like, 90s underground industrial music, which I love. Like, it feels like the soundtrack is by the people who did The Crow. Yeah, like, I don't know. I'm like, what is there not to like about this movie?
Right.
But apparently it's not good. So
because the way I sort of read Sarah's question is that she's wondering if we have ever revisited a movie that we recommended to people and sat there and said, oh, this actually isn't very good. I can't believe I recommended this to people.
Right. Instead of someone saying, like, oh, this wasn't actually good.
I've had experiences like you have, Taylor, where I've showed people movies and they didn't like it as much as I thought they would. And I myself just sort of, I'm like, well, you're wrong. Like, I disagree.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what to tell you about that. So I've never had that experience where I myself have watched a movie and said, oh yeah, why did I recommend this?
I, for a long time on this show, recommended House of the Devil. Like, from the beginning, like, from the beginning of recording, I'm like, that is a great satanic panic movie. And then Tyler Vance had me review it, like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago now.
Like that, yeah.
And upon revisiting it, I was like, oh, I don't like this movie as much as I thought I did. Because I would have saw that movie once when I was, like, maybe 13 or 14. And it, like, really did stick in my mind. And I really enjoyed the movie. Yeah. But revisiting as an adult, I felt the script, I think it was well directed and well acted, but I felt like the script was underdeveloped. But the problem now, Mike, I identify in myself, I don't have the attention span I had when I was 15.
Sure.
So, again, is that like a Taylor problem or a movie problem? But I did say in my review with Tyler Vance that I'm like, okay, I think I used to say this was a see it for sure, and now I think it's more of a stream it.
Leave it to Tyler Vance to just ruin
my life.
Movies. Yeah, he just does that. Okay, next question. This one does come from someone in Kingston. So we've got a Kingston movie. So this is from Jason, who definitely has written him before. I recognize the name and the email. In listening to some of your recent episodes, I'm just wondering if you've found yourself looking at the casting and saying there could have been something different that made the film either not work or could make it work better for you. If you could swap the lead actor from one of your recent reviews with a different actor, which movie would improve the most? And do you feel that makes a big difference? So that comes from Jason.
I think casting makes a huge difference.
Oh, I agree.
Absolutely. In a movie. I think you could have a great director, great writer, and even a great actor, and the characterization is just not right because of the actor. So I think it definitely makes a difference. You probably, I'm going to put words in your mouth and correct me if I'm wrong, you feel that Project Hail Mary probably would have been improved with a different lead actor.
Correct? Yes. And ever since watching Project Hail Mary, I can't stop coming up with names of people who would have been better in that role. Yes, I do think it would have benefited from that. I do think that's my most recent example. I think there are people who could have done a better job voice acting in The Sheep Detective. That's one where I think some voice actors might have been able to do a little bit better. But then you had a movie like The Drama where I'm like, I don't think I'd replace either of them. That was so well cast. So I think that, yeah, I do think casting makes a big difference, because there are definitely people in seeing them in certain roles, you might go, I feel like you could replace them and do something. But I looking at the movies I've reviewed recently, I have no problem with how they were cast. So I'd say Project Hail Mary is the one that, yeah, I would be the obvious. I'd have other choices that I think could improve that movie. Yeah.
It might just because it's the most kind of recent in my mind, but I think Glenn Powell in How to Make a Killing probably could have been replaced.
Right.
But in my review, it was hard for me to pinpoint.
Yeah, like with who? What would you be looking for that movie?
But also, like, I don't know. I don't know if Glenn Powell was the problem.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think it was more a script and directing problem. I think I would have skewed younger in terms of my casting. But Mike, I don't know, like, 20-year-old actors, which sounds horrible. Like I'm now old that I don't know like who like the young actors are, because like Timothy Chalamet's actually in his late 30s. He perpetually is 17 in my mind.
Yeah,
so,
some of those
Timothy
Chalamet in that kind of age group would be older now. Yeah,
I feel like it would have had to be like, let's see, like, okay, Asa Butterfield. I know his face, but I couldn't tell you what he's been in. Like, I don't even know who these. Paul Mescal is apparently quite popular.
Yeah. And I think you're getting all the kids from Stranger Things are kind of entering that.
See, I actually group. Unpopular opinion, I don't think the cohort of Stranger Things kids are that talented.
Oh, really? I think a couple of them are gonna.
I don't like Finn Wolfhard. I think he's quite I think he's annoying.
Oh,
I know. I know the other guy got a lot of slack because he just truly is not a good actor, but at least I didn't find him as annoying as I find Finn Wolfhard.
You know who I like? I like. There's this actor. He was in the second season of Euphoria. He actually might have been in the first season too. And he pops up every now and then. He's a younger actor. I cannot remember his name, but I would recognize him if I saw him. He was in the second season of Euphoria, but he's been in a ton of kind of movies here. He was in Weapons. He played the kid with the drug problem in Weapons. Like he's played a bunch of different roles. He was on one season at least of This Is Us, playing kind of like a jerk guy.
No idea.
But yeah, he's very good. He's kind of a younger actor who I think has a career ahead of him.
I need to self-correct because we're going to be accused of ageism on this show so badly. I said Timothy Chalamet's in his late 30s. He actually is just 30, by the way. But I don't think Timothy would have been good. So like this movie, How to Make a Killing, Glenn Powell, in terms of his career trajectory makes sense in that this very much felt like a late 90s, early 2000s, mid to low budget summer movie. You know what I mean? Like kind of like black comedy, right? So like to me that feels like Glenn Powell's wheelhouse, I guess you could say. I don't know of an actor, because they're not really making these type of movies right now, Mike. I don't know what an equivalent actor that's maybe 5 to 10 years younger than him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because Timothy Chalamet isn't making those type of movies. Mm-hmm. These sort of like black comedies. low budget black comedies, right? So
that has been more of a Robert Pattinson trajectory of films. He's done a lot of,
but I think even he would
stuff,
skew too old for this.
He'd be too old as well now.
If it was a different, again, it's because it was a script problem, right? So like you easily could have aged up the script, and Glenn Powell would have made more sense. So anyways, I don't know who I would have replaced with Glenn Powell with, but that would probably be that's the movie that pops into my head immediately. Yeah. The other movie, Psycho Killer, which if we have time, we'll get to today. Yeah. That couldn't have been saved by casting.
Yeah, you have some very strong feelings on that one.
On that one.
Okay, so next question comes from Melissa, who says, of the films you've reviewed recently, which one would make the best TV series, and which one should have been a 20-minute short instead?
Okay, so I'll get to. I've been dying to talk about this with Psycho.
I think this is the question that you were dying to talk about.
Yes, this is the question.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so there is going to be some spoilers in this. I don't think anyone's running out to see Psycho Killer anyways, but if you do want to go see Psycho Killer, pause here and you can kind of skip ahead or whatever, because I am going to do some spoilers with plot. So, Mike, this movie is... So at the beginning of the movie, during the title cards, you're seeing this like iconography and like certain symbols, and you're like, okay, like that's a Satanist symbol, that's a whatever, blah blah blah, and then you're like, that's a nuclear power symbol, okay. And so like and early on in the movie, you see like the nuclear power symbol on the killer's hands. And you're like, okay, that's an identity. At first, I thought, interesting. What does nuclear power have to do with Satanists? But okay, I'm along for the ride. Maybe they're just using that tattoo as like to symbolize, because like the killer wears a mask. So like we know it's the killer because we see this tattoo. But I would say like 3/4 of the movie, it's like a very standard satanic panic plot where the killer is like a self-confessed Satanist, and like that's the imagery we're getting, and like it's like a pretty run-of-the-mill that type of killer. Okay. And then about the end of the movie, you find out what the killer's we get to, he's like working his way across the country, and we get to 3 Mile Island. And for people who are a savvy on their nuclear power history, you'll know that this is a nuclear power plant in America, I believe near Jersey, but now I'm gonna check that real quick. Bear with me.
Yeah, no problem. That's
okay, so 3 Mile Island, this happened in Pennsylvania, and it was in 1979. This was like, people hear about Hiroshima or whatever. Like this was America's Chernobyl. It wasn't as serious as Chernobyl, but like this was a pretty big deal in 1979. So I'm like, okay, I'm interested because you already like, there's already satanic panic stuff, which longtime listeners of the show know. I'm dying for a movie that will to really go deep into the satanic panic and really mine that for like a very interesting, innovative script. I haven't seen that happen yet. So anyways, it's a traditional satanic panic, killer, whatever. Then we got the 3 Mile Island connection. And I'm like, okay, here we have the nuclear symbol coming into play. Okay, I get the connection, and I love a good nuclear accident storyline, because that is truly one of my worst fears, dying in a nuclear holocaust. I don't know if you knew that about me, Mike, but it is one of my major fears.
I did not know. I would not have guessed that either. Honestly, I would never have guessed that.
I remember growing up being like, Dad, I'm so afraid of nuclear holocaust. I'm so afraid of dying in a nuclear blast. And my dad's like, no, the Cold War is over. It will not happen. And it's like, well...
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
I think he was just trying to calm my fears as a good parent, but like, no, like nuclear accidents do happen, and world powers still have nuclear weapons. But anyways,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so I'm like, okay, this should be on paper a great Taylor movie because we have the satanic panic stuff and now we have a nuclear accident stuff. And essentially, you find out at the last part of the movie that he's trying to open the gates of hell through a nuclear accident. Okay. Like, which isn't like, which is kind of like interesting. But anyways, so I think this would make a very good in the hands of, I would say in the hands of a better writer, but as we know from last episode, this is from the writer of Seven, so I don't understand why the script was so bad. But this would have been an interesting mini-series of them learning the pathology of this killer. You know, he also has she's like, oh, he's connected to this killer that operated at this time and then went to jail. And they're like, no, he died in jail. Well, it turns out it is the same guy. He didn't die in jail. So I'm like, well, that's a major plot point hole. Why do some people think he's dead and some people don't? Because I know the jail system is pretty erratic in America, but like, I'm pretty sure they know prisoner counts. So like, it doesn't explain.
They should.
Yeah, like
if they don't, let me give that feedback right away. You definitely should.
So he escapes. He like, you don't really get. So if that's what the movie felt really underdeveloped, and it would have been an interesting sort of cross country journey, and you could have done kind of like a cross country buddy movie where like you partner the investigator with another investigator and they're learning about this killer. I also always think that I'm waiting again for people to tell a satanic panic story, but treat the satanic panic as if it actually happened and that these like people are like supernatural.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you know, like how the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, for instance, like in that universe, magic is real and they do actually worship the devil, and there's consequences to that, right? So I would love for it to be kind of like a true detective with this particular guy, and there's this question of, are supernatural things actually happening? And quite frankly, I think the 3 Mile Island stuff is interesting. But it felt weird that they tacked it on as the climax at the end of the movie.
Right.
So
right.
All that to say, I think that would make a good TV series. And then the thing that could have been a 20-minute short could have been Forbidden Fruits. Okay. The movie about the mall cult.
Right.
The mall cult, the mall witch cult.
Yeah.
Again, I think it suffered from being an underdeveloped script. It's interesting because again, it's an adaptation of a theater play. So I'm like, what would have been happening on the stage?
Yeah, and it's hard to tell what they would have changed from that. Or if it's just simply more effective seeing it live for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. So those are my answers. Do you have an opinion on that one, Mike?
There's an obvious one for me. Project Hail Mary should be a TV series. I mean, you could have
because of the
done,
science.
Yeah, the science and all the things that were cut out, and you could tell, I think, a better story by doing that and by having it be a TV series. So I think that
I was completely
same with The Long Walk, actually.
I was completely satisfied. I think The Long Walk could make a 20-minute Black Mirror episode.
Oh, that too. It could be a good Black Mirror episode. I do think you could turn it into a series.
Sure.
I think it was still good.
Learn about the universe.
Yeah.
Like the world building. Yeah. Why are they doing this?
Yeah. I actually think Obsession, though I gave it a see it, ever since reviewing that movie, I've said nothing but negative things. I actually think that could have just been a short. And you would have been able to kind of get the same point across. So, yeah, I think it's...
like a Twilight Zone episode?
Yeah, those seem very much like that. But again, the way I look at this question, what do you want to see more of, or what would have been more beneficial as a TV series? I do think you could expand The Long Walk and Project Hail Mary and get a lot out of that story. Whereas movies like, Send Help and The Rip and all these other movies I've seen recently, I think those are fine as movies, and I don't know if I'd ever revisit them again. So maybe, you could see them as shorter things.
You know what's interesting? because for me, it's underdeveloped scripts. Like you're looking at it more as like, what do I want to see more of? Whereas I
Mhm.
am, it wasn't necessarily that I wanted to watch more Psycho Killer, but I feel like that because the script was underdeveloped, if they had more time in a TV series, you could tease out the interesting parts. But I think it can go like either way. It could be either make it a long series or just make it a 20-minute short. Because
Mm.
even though I said Forbidden Fruits could be 20 minutes, I think that also could be a mini series where you're learning the lore about the mall, and because there's a police investigation kind of going on and you're learning more, like kind of like treat it like Twin Peaks, where it is funny, but it's also pretty dark and you don't always know. Yeah. So it's funny. It could go both ways. This
Yeah.
Psycho Killer could be a 20. Well, I don't know if I would say 20 because a Criminal Minds episode is probably closer to 45 or 50. So I could see Psycho Killer being like a 45-minute Criminal Minds episode or
Yeah.
like an 8-part HBO series.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. I think you could definitely see that. Okay, we got time for one more quick one. Quick final question here. What? So this one comes from Darren, who comes from London. Darren from London, I assume Ontario. Sorry, my cat's just screaming at me. Based on your reviews so far, if oh no, wait, I'm reading the wrong question. What is the biggest gap between your expectations and your actual rating this year? Was there a movie that surprised you the most, for better or for worse?
Katie Wilson and I both agree that Project Hail Mary was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, I could
As
see why you were surprised by that one. Like I
yeah,
could see that.
that was such a fun, lovely movie going experience. And I was truthfully, I was dreading going to see that.
Yes.
Otherwise, there hasn't been any movie that's particularly surprised me. It's kind of been I haven't seen a lot of duds this year, but I've seen like a lot of like kind of middle of the line,
Yeah.
enjoyable experiences, like not super memorable, but like fine movies. So
Yeah.
that was the only Project Hail Mary was the one that blew me out of the water in terms of expectation.
Yeah, I would say the drama for me, I didn't think I'd like that as much, because I do think, yeah, it's one of those things that you hear buzz about, but you just don't know how you're going to feel about it, and then I was surprised how much I liked it. The rest, I would agree. Most of my movies are stream its this year. Like it's really down the middle. Stream it. A couple see its that I think are lighter. So I think, yeah, you've described me as being lukewarm about Obsession, and I think I'm lukewarm about most of the movies so far this year. But that's not a bad thing. We don't have as many skip its. Like I don't think I've given a skip it yet this year. So
I think we're getting back into, and I don't think this is a bad thing, just like middle of the line movies.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, I agree. I
I
don't think
think
that's a bad thing.
there is a place for a mid to low budget movie that's just like a pleasant movie going experience. Not everything has to be a blockbuster spectacle, part 10, whatever. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's a
Mhm.
bad thing that these little movies are coming out. And the more this is something that um other people have said on the show when we have guests, they often will always say like see it even if they don't like the movie, because like the more we support and see these smaller movies, the more it signals to the studios we want that type of movie. So even if we're like, I was like, okay, that's just, give it a try still.
Yeah.
I think that's okay. And
Yeah.
then in the fall is when we're gonna get like the big
Yes.
ones.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. More interesting big films to come, and there's a few in the summer, but it's been nice. We've had a string of very interesting movies with people taking some risks and audiences responding to that. So, yeah, I don't think that that's a bad thing. So there you go. That's fan questions for another week. Thank you, everybody who wrote in. We do really appreciate it. We love hearing from you. As Taylor says, it's just nice to voice opinions. and know people are actually listening
And they care.
Care and want to know more. If you ever want to write in a fan question, just go to soul1arts.ca. That's SOLONEARTS.ca. Go to the podcast tab and you'll see the form fillable to just send in your question, comment, thought on various movies, films. Again, if we missed any fan questions and you're like, oh, I filled that form out, fill it out again or find your question and send it to us again. We will definitely answer it. We love hearing from you. So thank you, everybody who submitted, and for everyone out there listening.
Go see some movies.
Thank you for listening to You Had Me at Skip It, a Soul One Arts Inc. podcast. This podcast is produced by Mike Shepard and Austin Spinner Summer. It is a project of Soul One Arts Inc. To learn more about Soul One and all the great work that Soul One is doing in the arts community, especially in film, theater, and other performing arts, visit soul1arts.ca. You can contribute to this podcast by visiting soul1arts.ca and going to the podcast tab. You'll find all the information on You Had Me at Skip It and how you can get your questions read on air each week. Thank you again for listening.